So, welcome to Connecting Comics. I have here with me Mr. Tiburcio Valeria. Go ahead and address the camera. Tell him a little something. How long you been collecting comic books?
Been collecting comics since probably the early 90s. And as we have a saying amongst the two of us that life gets in the way. So between career, family, children, things happen. I actually didn't collect comics for a long time, like 25 years. So, in talking with Noah, he and I are employed in the same place, we started to talk comics. And it may have been something akin to correcting one another on whatever plot line is in a Marvel movie. And I don't know whether he asked me or I asked him, but basically I informed him I had all these comics. And Noah said, "Excuse me?" And I said, "Yeah, I have that." So then on his phone, he asked me, "Do you have that one?" I said, yeah, I've got that one." "Well, how about this one?" Yeah, I have that one too. So when I was in the service from about 90 to 95, that was when I really seriously collected comics.
Now, primarily you were collecting Spider-Mans, right?
Spider-Mans. I got caught up in all the Image hype like everyone else of that era, so
Yep.
I have a bunch of those. But that's kind of the wheelhouse of where I collected. So I have a lot of Venom, I have a lot of Spider-Man, I have a lot of Carnage, I have a lot of Thanos, I have a lot of Silver Surfer. So when Marvel went and did what they did now, which is now the Avengers series, it was right in my wheelhouse of things that I liked. So in talking with Noah, I've started kind of collecting. I'm a little more narrow-minded in my collecting than Noah is, which, okay, that famous last words. For now, I'm narrow-minded in my search.
For the moment.
Yes. So I'm on the record as being, I have a narrow mind of field of comics that I like. So to get caught back up, I ordered Thanos. I ordered 1 through 18.
Nice.
Now, the gentleman that sold these to me from eBay, the weather's been terrible. It's February here, and
Lots of snow.
yes. So, if there's one thing to be said at the end of the story is that just communicate with your buyer and your seller or whoever. And he apologized profusely. He had misquoted a couple comics that should be in here because he threw in a whole bunch of extras, which made it more enticing. And I said, "Look, you can make up for it by shipping it to me quickly."
Nice.
So I was, as you know, and he even said, I just made a mistake. I'm sorry." And I said, "Hey, I'm human. I get it. Just communicate." So he made it right. He sent it to me, and I can assure you, he is not a winner in the shipping category on eBay because, he paid for it. Yeah, he got it to me as quick as he could. So we're gonna unbox this as I try to get caught back up in the last 25 years. And we'll just go from there. See what we get in here.
Nice. So as I started looking through some of the boxes that he was, as he sent me pictures of multiple copies as 362, 363, 361, and the mint of these copies that he's keeping too are absolutely amazing. I think you tell us about the I think you had a one with a special werewolf in it, I believe.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that that person gifted me some comics that were in very, very poor shape. And I had gone through them when I had spoken to Noah about my re-emergence into the comic scene. And it was a Werewolf by Night 32 and 33. So if you Google that or eBay that, you're going to know what that is.
So here we're showing a picture of what it looks like, the one that he got for free. Absolutely, well, from a family friend. It was a family friend. Okay.
Family friend.
Absolutely amazing.
And this person just gave it to me, and I pulled what was remaining out of what could be salvaged. Now, of course, hindsight being what it is, I should have salvaged everything, but I didn't. So when you see those pictures, yeah, you could call it a missed opportunity, and one of the stories that you always hear. So it actually does happen.
Yep. Definitely, he can attest to it. Nicely done. And having seen them, yeah, freaking awesome. These are very well sealed. All of them bagged and board, and it looks like they're also in a nice little protective cover there.
Yeah, one of the other reasons I wanted this lot, or one of the things that got me back into it, was this series has number 13, which is Cosmic Ghost Rider, which I have most of the volume 2, because once again it's in my wheelhouse of when I really collect. So I have a lot of Ghost Rider. I have a lot of Sons of Vengeance.
Nice.
Or Sons of Midnight. I think it's Sons of Midnight.
Now, was it the movie initially around the 90s that piqued your interest in it, or was it more of a...
No. You got to go farther back. You got to go to the 70s. I'm a little older than Noah. I don't date myself, but
couple years.
Yeah, still a little older. There was a show called Night Stalker, if I remember correctly, where this gentleman was looking into the paranormal, and one of those was Ghost Rider. And that's what got me into it, was those old shows about these weird... If you want to call it like the 70s version of the X-Files, you sure could. And I think it's called Night Stalker.
Nice. I'm going to have to check that out.
Well, here we go.
Oh, these are freaking awesome.
Let's start with... I don't even know what order they're in. Well, let's start with number 1. There we are. And I picked up Thanos Quest 1 and 2 and Infinity Gauntlet when they first were originally put out, and I picked them up at what would now be called Emerald City Comic-Con. But it would have been the early 90s, and it wasn't called that. It was just a comic book gathering.
Nice.
As I was walking by downtown Seattle, and that is where I purchased those, and hence my affinity to Mr. Thanos here and the Silver Surfer. And
now, do you have a favorite cover with Thanos on it?
With Thanos on it, you know what? I don't own it. It's the cosmic. I had to think of the name of it. It's the Cosmic Entities ones that came out in the early 90s. It's like a 1 through 5 Terrax, Legacy, Jack of Hearts.
Nice.
Well, the very first one is Thanos. That cover I really like.
You can see it here on the...
Yeah, Silver Surfer 50. You know,
Nice.
It's right up there with the background, and we'll get into that a little later where that becomes prevalent.
Very nice.
Pretty good there.
Those are good looking covers.
They are.
In very good condition as well. That's
Yeah, he did an excellent job. You know, he threw in quite a bit of stuff, and that is really what enticed me to purchase this. It had a lot of extra things in it, and it gets me caught up instantly. Which, in this case, it has an intrinsic value unto itself to have it all.
yeah.
To be done with it. I could piecemeal it, but we kind of live in a smaller town. That's a little harder to do than if we lived in a much larger town.
Oh yeah. Without a comic book store, we're kind of at the whims of the internet. So you tend to be not just the cost of the comic book, but the cost of the printing. So if you order them one at a time and just kind of pick them up, it's going to be very pricey versus being able to just pick them all up at once. That's definitely learning that lesson with.
I believe these are going to be future eBay mailers right here.
Nice.
I'm going to save all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I do the same. Always recycle. I mean, all your packaging you're gonna get, absolutely worth keeping.
Now this is some of the stuff that he threw in as extra, which some of these I don't have.
I just got one of those the other day.
This one I do
have.
have.
Anywhere close to condition.
This one I do have, and I really enjoy this cover. Mr. Perez, I believe, did all those covers.
Now, these books were really hot there for a while as far as, I mean, the price of them, trying to get something that was a 9.8, 9.6, and you were paying out the nose. It seems the market is flooded with enough of them now. The prices come down considerably. I think you can get the 1 through 6 for just under $100 now, and some of these were going for $100 at a pop. And it was... I know when I picked mine up, the local place that we have that we can get comic books at it's all older stuff, and there's nothing. I would say the way that it is stored is not necessarily the best. I don't think you'd ever find anything really in there that may be a better than a 9.4, maybe a 9.2, but it's still the opportunity to dig for some of these older ones. And he has, what he said, he has a very large collection at home. So I keep trying to get him to bring me a few more, and he said he'd just keep his eyes out. It sounds like he has a fairly close to complete collection of most things. But I've definitely hit a few scores in that building. And that mostly thanks to the key collectors. And I sit there for hours going through, but I have made some absolutely amazing finds there. In fact, all the ones for the Infinity Gauntlet picked up at about $2 to $4 a cover. Nice. Oh, big old phoenix on it. That is awesome.
And as you can tell, they're not really in order per se.
Well, definitely. I'm sure they will be in order once they're done being read.
Yes, I've got some reading to do. Noah and I had discussed this about the type of collector one person can be. And Noah's probably somewhere on both halves. He's got some really nice slabbed ones. He's got some readers. He's got a bunch of graphic novel readers. Whereas I'm more of a curb appeal kind of person. I've thought about purchasing, a higher grade comic. But I don't know about you, but for me personally, I like to touch them. I like to hold them. I actually like to read them. So I don't necessarily look at them as investments per se in that regard, but I do enjoy, well, obviously seeing them go up in value.
Yep. Knowing that you have something now that you possibly could not in the future afford to have. I know that for me, that's a lot of them. My wife gets after me all the time because I'm always telling her how much these things are worth, and she keeps telling me they're not really worth anything if you're not selling them. So
there's a lot of truth to that.
Mostly it's just paper and ink. Absolutely love them though. Nice.
There's the Thanos annual.
Oh, I see one there.
Yeah, this is the one that's really hard to come by. And it seems to be getting harder and harder because it's got the Cosmic Ghost Rider.
First appearance. Man, I remember when that came out. I know at least one guy that picked up multiple copies of that, and I don't blame him. That is... It's going to be interesting. I know with the pickup Disney did for Fox, it seems like we're going to get a lot more of the cosmic world as far as videos coming out, it seems. Now, a lot of that has to do with like Fantastic Four, where a lot of what they deal in is more of the cosmic and the on a much grander scale than just Earth.
This is a fantastic cover. I get a kick out of the older comics being homaged, because if you see that, you know that just screams Infinity Gauntlet #1 right there. Yep. And it's just a beautiful cover. And it's just great. I've seen this cover before.
Holding up the world. That's, I guess in his case, holding up the universe.
I'll tell you what, that's just, I think that might, I know at 13's, more valuable and all, but this cover is just really good.
Heck yeah. Now this is still an ongoing series then at this point? Or is this finished?
I do not know. Right now, you and I don't know. Which, considering how long I've been out of the comic game, that's not really that hard to understand. And
for context, I've only just gotten back in January last year. So my collection, I think of what you can see is that the two shelves filled with comics. Beginning of last year, I think my collection consisted of about 400 comic books. So I've been busy. Trying very hard to catch up. Like for me, I'm very much a Daredevil guy. So I've been trying to read through those and started that at the beginning, I think, beginning of August last year. And I'm through issue 144, so I'm coming up on Miller's territory. So I kind of want to have the physical copy in hand to read those. I've been doing almost all digital up to this point. I've got quite a few of them, but I think I'm at that point where when I hit Miller, I wanna have the book in hand to read it. Some of those are just what you see digitally is not always everything. Nice.
Some old 1991 Marvel Universe cards, and I believe a movie poster is the Avengers Infinity War movie poster. And I actually have those. I have every single one of those. Yeah.
That is cool. Yeah, and when it comes to movie posters too, that's always you gotta know somebody. Typically to get those.
You know, the other thing that Noah and I have been talking about recently is I'm not a huge Daredevil fan, but I know Noah is. I'm not a huge Gambit fan, but I know Noah is. So when I saw a good deal, I informed him of said good deal, and now he's got a gold foil Gambit. So and he knows what's in my wheelhouse.
Yep.
I'm sure that'll get repaid.
Oh yes, fairly soon.
No. But it's always nice to know what other people like to collect, because let's face it, we all want to get a good deal, and we all want to get that copy of whatever it may be.
Yep.
And anybody can pay full price, let's face it. But part of this game is finding it.
Yeah.
Searching it.
Oh yeah.
Opening it up, looking at it.
Yep. It's sometimes you don't know whether you're truly getting the deal you think you are till it actually lands in your hand. But it's sometimes people are just trying to move things, just trying to get rid of them. And man, if you can land one of those, usually you got to see it and be the first one in the first couple of minutes, otherwise it's gone.
Well, one of the add-ins was a Captain America 600. That's nice.
Yeah, it is.
That's a nice book. And it looks like we got some Infinity Gauntlet. Number 1. Number 2. Another Captain America 600, a variant, I would assume.
Very nice.
And like me some Symbiote, since one of the things that I had forgotten I owned was the original Infinity War series. Yes, I do have number 8. So that was a nice surprise. Nice. Remembering where I bought some of these. And
oh, yeah. Yeah, that... definitely one of these days I'll end up getting one of those. Secret Wars number 8. Yeah, I've definitely... he has an amazing collection of comic books.
Only from that era. So
Yep.
you got to put it in context. Like anyone else, I wished I would have collected some more of some things and less of others.
Yep.
Yeah, if one would look back in the sands of Image Time comics, you could be very selective there. But live and learn, and I still enjoy those books. If you know how that breakaway happened.
And it seems I know the Image comics are actually getting a lot of attention right now too, as far as movie deals.
Yeah.
So there are quite a few. Still the ones that you have, there's that good chance that one of those will get picked up, and now you may be just entering at just the right time, where those are the ones that you have could possibly start to become unattainable again.
We'll see. I have a lot of Valiant also.
Yep.
I've got the first series of Exo Man of War, which one of my favorites.
Yep.
Maybe not worth a whole lot, but worth a lot to me.
Yep.
Especially since I once again I read these books.
In fact, the connecting cover of one of the Man of Wars that you brought to me to work, and I had posted that up on my Instagram page, and that was absolutely beautiful covers. Most of them are foil.
Some of those, that was the era of the foil. So,
Yep.
and maybe I'll send Noah a picture of my foil cover, XO number 0, that I made into a wall art because it's cheap enough to take apart. Buy another one and take it apart and then make it into wall art because I disassembled the comic book. Yes, I know, sacrilege. And I had to cut some of it off so to get it to fit in the frame.
No custom frame?
Yep. No custom frame.
Oh, I've got two. So I've got two here to open as well. And I think you're going to like this one because this is one of the comic books that he keeps looking at, trying to get. Are the
Is that me?
Yeah.
Oh, surprise!
See the
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Let's all be surprised because I did not know this. So yeah.
So it's not necessarily the one that I think that you were in particular, but I know you've been trying to pick up this series. So let's see. As the name of the YouTube video for what we've got here. Man, boxes upon boxes. Always love good packaging. Seen some of these that were just absolutely atrocious, and others that are so well packaged they could probably be airdropped and nothing happened to them.
Yeah, when I shipped the Werewolf by Night 32 and 33, yes, it was a box in a box and probably the equal amount of body weight of me in popcorn peanuts.
So I picked up, and I'm glad I did, because these are getting more and more expensive. Here you have the Immortal Hulk, #1. Virgin copy, all three are connecting covers. You have Iron Man and Thor. Absolutely amazing. Now, this is the first set of connecting covers that I've purchased that are virgin copies as well. So there's no writing, there's no text on it. But that's worth putting in a custom frame. Absolutely amazing. Now these keep going up and up and up. So I think I paid like $25 plus shipping for this, which really I didn't think was too bad. When I first started looking at it, it was like 20 to 21. And then finally when I pulled the trigger, it was 25. I think I've seen a couple of them 30, 40.
Yeah, there were a couple that I wish I would have pulled the trigger on and not bartered back and forth for a few dollars less on the give it a bid.
Oh yeah,
a bid on an item, and he countered and I countered, and by the time I could counter again, because we were literally squabbling over several single dollars, and they were gone. So now for twice the price I could have what I could have gotten.
Oh.
So we'll see what time will tell. Like I said, anyone can pay full price. That's not the name of the game.
And hopefully something like that, like we were talking earlier, where some of these that are going for ridiculous prices right now, people are mostly paying for the whole package deal. It's to get that full run. They're paying that extra amount just to have it. And people aren't selling mostly just that one comic book by itself because they understand that value in having the entire full run to sell. So I think maybe in another year or two, this is they'll be far cheaper to pick up, I think, overall.
Yes, patience is the name of the game.
Yes, it is. So this is one last one that I've got. I think a couple more that should be in the mail here shortly, but we'll pick those up next week. So this one, super cheap. Looked like it was somebody just trying to get rid of a few comics they had laying in a box somewhere. So I'm not necessarily thinking that these are going to be over the top. In fact, there's not a single bag or board.
Wow.
But we've got some Marvel 96. Yeah, definitely some spine roll on these. But I think for what I paid for all of them, really not that bad. 82. Yeah, these ones have been pretty popular with the supposed to be having a movie. These Marvel Tales. There's not many keys in those, but I still appreciate a good read. Number 25. Now, most of these I already have. See, I don't think I had 34 for Peter Parker. I can't tell. Is that just coloration?
I was looking at that too. It looks like it got a bit of sun there.
Yeah. Most of these are a little beat up, but some early Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man. Number 8. Now, this was the fun one that I was really kind of looking forward to. Now, I already have one of these that's slabbed. It's a number 1 Peter Parker against the tarantula. Now, this one isn't in too shabby. Oh, part of the back corner is finding its way to another place. Yeah, I'd say most of these are just ones somebody had just sitting there, but for, I think, $25 plus $5 shipping, I'm really not going to complain. I think there were probably 4 or 5 in here that I didn't have in my collection already, so really, end of the day, it's not bad at all.
The way of the dinosaur there.
So sad. For all of you that are still trying to be, want to be just a Toys R Us kid. Oh. Now I love the Punisher covers that they have on these. 174. Now this one's a little chewed up, but Amazing Spider-Man. I got another one that's coming fairly soon. Oof. Wow, somebody ate this one. All good reader copies. So I would say, if anything, it's nice to add a few more into the collection. But yeah, if there's any in there that you like, you see, or that you want to read,
That's always nice.
certainly up. So now, overall impressions. What do you think of the your Thanos books?
They're really nice. Very well packaged. Well shipped. I wish they would have communicated a little better, because I had to ask him twice had they shipped, and that's when he came forward with a couple of the add-in comics that he thought he had. He didn't, and at least he was honest, and he made it right by sending it out to me as soon as possible. And
Nice.
he paid an exorbitant shipping price to get it to me, so he did the best he could, and I'll give him a good review for that.
Nice.
And I told him, just communicate. Most people are decent human beings, and we understand, because we were socked in with snow like pretty much everyone else was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, communication is key. I'd seen plenty where they were more than happy to wait the extra day or whatever, or knowing that, at least you reached out, you talked to them, you didn't wait for them to have to communicate with you. But I guess on the same note of also, if you're waiting and you look and you see that your next business day shipping, and you're hitting them on the next day early in the morning saying, why don't I see this tracking yet?
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Or my personal favorite, couldn't you have done that Friday, not Monday? But things happen. As long as it gets there and it gets to you in a timely fashion. And since we live kind of out in the Tules, it kind of comes with the territory.
Yep. I'm pretty sure they only check the drop off once a day at the end of the day. I think even right there on the box it says like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I mean, I could drop it in first thing in the morning, but you won't even see that tracking number do anything till the end of the day. I think for some people that's a little frustrating, but I think that's, I don't know. If you're from a bigger area, I'm sure they're pulling those constantly, and that's the numbers are updated probably every hour. But I think it's not always the case.
Yeah, not so much here. Not so much.
But heck yeah.
On these comics,
Yeah.
what I really like about comics like this is that it harkens to a time when I was a kid. Once again, I'm a little older than Noah, and this comic book right here could have been in a drugstore.
174.
Could have been on a magazine rack, where I remember, and I grew up in a very small town of about 2,200 people, and I remember them having comic book racks, and they were the kind that twirled. They were metal, and the comic books would bend, but that's the way it was.
Yep.
And so now when you see these comics, and they've had a life for sure.
Oh yeah.
And that's the part I kind of enjoy about it, and hence the price you pay for a really, really nice one. They're so rare from that era.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, to try and get something with white colors, let alone without creases, without any marks, no dog-eared corners, nobody writing their name on the front cover so they can hand it out to their friends and still get it back. There's a lot of history that you can see in just the cover of these. It's like, all right, well, where did he keep it at? I mean, I've got some that names are just written all over them. It's it's kind of funny.
And you can look at them, they're a sign of the times.
Yep.
And there are some that, that have some visual pieces in them that are quite controversial one way or the other. And you guys know what I'm talking about. And that makes them a sign of the time.
Yeah.
That's the way, that's what was what back in the day.
When things were very different.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, the stuff you could get away with putting in one of those comic books versus today is pretty funny. Powerful, muscles, fast. Slim Jim. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, look, they even got a collector's kit. I know we used to get, me and my brother, we'd purchase they would have where you could sell, like, what is it, cards, birthday cards, seasonal cards, things like that, and you would get the prizes. Yeah, just like that. Look, friends, you can earn your choice of neat prizes, plus as much as $2 to $10 cash every week. I mean, that was the kind of stuff. Me and my brother, growing up in a very small town, not too far from here, it's what we did to make a little extra money. I mean, that was money to buy comic books. That was money to go down to the clubhouse that there in town when they didn't shoo us off and go buy ourselves like a Green River or some Big Red when it was all still in bottles and the cap on top. It was just very different time. But yeah, overall not bad at all the way around, I think.
Yeah, I've got some reading to do, that's for sure.
Yep. Well, I want to thank you for coming in and showing off what you've got today, and I hope we'll have a few more here in another week or two.
Yep.
Between the two of us, we got quite a few comics to go through. So.
Yes, we do.
All right, guys. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.